Well, well, well. Wasn't that quite a little show? Ladies and gentlemen, just facts now, no opinion. These are the facts about what you were just witnessing. This body is up there screaming about what? They're screaming about bonuses that AIG paid to employees, right? Why are they screaming about this? They could have stopped this. They made this happen. The Congress and the White House made this happen. Indulge me while I read to you, please. Quote, during late night, closed-door talks last month, negotiators for the United States House of Representatives, the United States Senate, and the White House of the United States stripped a measure from the stimulus bill that would have restricted these AIG bonuses. They had a measure in the bill that would have restricted the bonuses, and they took it out before it became law. Instead, a measure by Senator Chris Dodd, Democrat of Connecticut, to limit executive compensation replaced it. But Dodd's measure explicitly exempted bonuses agreed to prior to the passage of the stimulus bill. Congress, you cannot have it both ways. You cannot first say, we're not going to make you limit the bonuses, and now say, limit the bonuses. This is the same Congress, or the same body at least, that in 1994 put in place the Community Redevelopment Act, which made it so that more and more Americans would own homes, whether they could afford them or not. In 1998, Glass-Steagall was taken out. Glass-Steagall is the thing that made a separation between commercial banks and investment banks and put them all under the same rules. By 2003, 2004, the investment banks were getting their clocks cleaned by the commercial banks because they're all working under the same rules. So in 2004, they made a change. And they said, we're going to change the amount of leverage that's necessary. In other words, you will be required to have less money to lend more money. Leveraged, over-leveraged. And by 2004, when that happened, these investment banks agreed to have in their offices regulators from the Securities and Exchange Commission. Had to have them right in their office. You know when Bear Stearns got an SEC regulator in its office? 3.5 years later, the first regulator came into its office because its hedge fund had collapsed. And now the Congress of the United States, which has allowed all of this, is grandstanding to beat the band. Are you kidding me? Chris Dodd's measure made this happen. It's a fact. And Barney Frank's up there asking to name names of the people who got the bonuses. These people signed a contract with a company. The contract says, if I perform the following services, I will receive the following compensation. It is a fundamental bedrock of the Constitution of the United States that contracts are to be respected. Had this Congress not changed the rules, had Chris Dodd's amendment not changed to the stimulus bill not been in there, this would not have happened. The Congress did this. And furthermore, Barney Frank asking the CEOs to name names. Remember Joe McCarthy? He asked people to name names in that body too, and nobody liked it. What's going on in Washington? We're going to get to the bottom of it in 2 minutes. And furthermore, that CEO, Liddy, was not there. He got there 6 months ago. He was brought in to try to clean this mess up. It was this Congress that said to that company, go ahead with your bonuses. It was Chris Dodd of Connecticut's new stipulation that allowed this, explicitly said this is the way for it to be done. And now they're up there putting on a show for us, trying to make us forget that the banking crisis is real and a day of judgment is coming, and we are all going to pay. When you go to a restaurant at night and it's only 1/4 full, you're like, wow, they're hurting, but it's open. It's not going to stay open. This is getting worse, and they're distracting us, and we are not going to let them do it. This is their fault. With us now, the author of House of Cards, William Cohen, is with us, and legal analyst Fred Teesey. William, am I off at all here? What needs to be said?
Well, I think you're right, actually. This is a major...
Those were facts, right?
Those are facts.
Not opinion.
Not opinion. This is a distraction, right? We have a serious financial crisis on our hands, and it's a shame that the Congress is taking so much time today focusing on whether or not these bonuses should be paid. Let's get the people who were paid the bonuses back working, fixing this crisis, unwinding these credit default swaps, helping us solve the financial crisis.
Last year. But top of the list, Senator Chris Dodd, chairman of the Banking Committee, and the guy whose measure was stripped. Now, this happened in conference. It's not his fault. It happened in conference committee. He was not in the conference. I need to tell you that. At any rate, protecting those corporate bonuses. He is closing in on $250,000 in donations from AIG. But aren't we based on contract law?
We are. And you know what? You don't have to be a lawyer and you don't have to go to law school to know that a person's word is supposed to be his bond. And you have U.S. congressmen down there yelling and screaming about contracts that were entered into, that were supported by the law, and because they don't like it. When these men and women became congressmen, they put their hand on the Bible and they took an oath to uphold the laws of the United States and the Constitution. And that means contract laws. And valid contracts get entered into and they're to be upheld. Not because Congress doesn't like it now. They knew about this.
They should have known, but they did not read the stimulus bill, and they admitted they didn't read it.
Exactly.
So shut up.
Exactly. And as prior to giving $160 billion, they could have made a deal where AIG could have undone the contracts before they got the money.
They could have, had they agreed to do that.
Right. Having not done that, you don't come in now and say, I don't like what the contracts say, so you don't have to live up to them. It doesn't work that way.
You signed the contract.
That's right. It doesn't work that way. You signed it.
You cannot have it both ways. I don't know what they... I guess they're just trying to make us not pay attention to the other things, to take our eye off.
It's a total distraction.
It's a total distraction.
And unfortunately, these kinds of hearings become slightly political grandstanding.
You know what the Fox News Channel ought to do? We should send them a bill for all the commercial breaks that we've missed all day long because this thing is on while they're up there grandstanding. This Congress did not permit this. This Congress made this happen. There was a provision to stop these bonuses. It was right there in the bill. And with the doors closed and none of us looking, and they wouldn't give us the reading of this bill at all. Not us, the media, as your front line, not you on the web, nowhere. They wouldn't let us see it. And they decided behind closed doors that what would have stopped this would not happen. And now they're up there griping about it. Enough.